The ballroom glittered like 1,000 stars, nested beneath a canopy of chandeliers that cast soft light across the polished wooden floor. Laughter and chatter filled the air, mingling with the sweet strains of a string quartet that played on the raised dais. Guests adorned in finery danced and mingled, their every movement fluid and graceful, a delicate tapestry woven from silk and satin. It was the season of society balls, and the atmosphere bristled with anticipation, excitement, and a hint of treachery. Lady Isadora Pelham stood to the side, her heart racing not from the thrill of the occasion, but from the suffocating weight of expectation. She clutched her fan tightly, its delicate lace whispering against her gloved fingers as if to offer comfort. The specter of her late mother's aspirations loomed large, as Isadora was acutely aware that she was meant to be more than a mere spectator at such events. But what did she, a quiet observer with a penchant for solitude, know of the dazzling world before her? The Duke of Ashford caught her eye, striding towards her with an assured elegance only a man of his stature could possess. Tall, handsome, with a confident yet inviting smile, he was the dream of every debutante in the room. It was both thrilling and terrifying to be so directly addressed by him. He possessed an aura that demanded attention, and despite herself, Isadora felt a flutter of intrigue at the sight of him. "My Lady Pelham," he began, his voice deep and rich like a fine red wine. "There you are, a jewel among the uninspired masses. May I have a word?" Isadora's breath hitched. This was not a request she had anticipated. Perhaps he merely sought to compliment her gown, or more likely, to procure a dance with one of the eligible young women his mother would surely approve of. Yet there was a glint in his eyes that spoke of something more, something that sent her heart racing. "Of course, Your Grace," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. He gestured for her to follow him through the throng of guests, pulling her away from the prying eyes of the assembly. The two found a quieter corner near a grand window, the moonlight filtering through the glass and illuminating their faces. For a moment, the distant sounds of merriment faded, and all that remained was the space between them, charged with something unspoken. The Duke leaned slightly closer, lowering his voice. "I have a rather peculiar proposition for you, Lady Isadora. I am in need of a fiancé, at least for one evening." A frown creased her brow as she processed his words. "I beg your pardon, Your Grace? A fiancé?" "Indeed. You see, my mother is adamant that I find a suitable bride, and she has arranged for a ball at our estate next week to showcase the finest young women for my consideration." He paused, his expression a mixture of exasperation and determination. "I wish to find a way to deflect her relentless matchmaking. If I were to appear with a fiancé of my own, it would quell the tide of pressure, at least temporarily." Isadora blinked, bewilderment mingling with a flicker of intrigue. Could she possibly be that fiancé? Surely he was jesting, though the earnestness in his eyes suggested otherwise. "And why, may I ask, would you choose me for such a role? I am hardly a suitable candidate for a duke's fiancé." Her words, though spoken lightly, carried a weight of self-doubt. "On the contrary, my lady," he countered swiftly, "you possess a unique charm and grace that others lack. You are real, honest, and refreshingly distinctive amid a sea of artifice. Furthermore, your presence, your poise, would serve as the perfect cover for our ruse." Isadora's heart raced. She had never imagined herself as anything but ordinary, a wallflower relegated to the periphery of such glamorous gatherings. Yet here was a man of his caliber offering her a chance, not just to play a part, but to step into the light, even if only for a moment. "I will have to think about this," she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. The idea of stepping beyond the confines of her comfort zone was exhilarating, yet terrifying. What if she failed? What if she stumbled into a world that scrutinized her every move? "Think quickly, my lady," he responded with a hint of urgency. "The ball approaches, and if you decline, I shall find another. And who knows what sort of woman she may be." His gaze locked onto hers, as if willing her to see the potential within. Did she dare accept such a challenge? The prospect of being a catalyst in a game far larger than herself was at once daunting and electrifying. Isadora felt a stirring inside her, a whisper urging her to embrace this moment. Perhaps it was time to unearth the strength she had so often doubted. With a determined nod, a hint of a smile curved her lips. "Very well, Your Grace. I will pretend to be your fiancé for the evening." "Excellent," he said, his expression lighting up with a genuine smile that made her heart flutter. "You shall not regret this. I will ensure that you are treated like the lady you are, and in return, we shall create a delightful diversion." But as excitement surged within her, a tremor of uncertainty lingered. Accepting his offer would propel her into a world rife with societal expectations, and hidden truths swirled in her mind like shadows. What awaited her beyond the facade of a mere engagement? And as the evening continued beyond the window where they stood, the music and laughter echoed, promising both enchantment and trials. The real journey was just beginning, and Isadora's acceptance of this peculiar request would lead her into uncharted territory, where every step she took would challenge not only her sense of self, but the very truth of what it meant to love. Before we venture further into Isadora's intriguing challenge, if you're captivated by tales of hidden identities and unexpected romances, please hit that like button and subscribe. Now, let's uncover what awaits our brave protagonist. As Isadora mulled over the Duke's unexpected proposition, the vibrant ambiance of the ball seemed to swirl around her, drawing her into a world she had only ever witnessed from the shadows. The flickering candlelight danced across the gilded walls, while the laughter of young men and women echoed, marking a stark contrast to the whirlwind of thoughts racing through her mind. "Your Grace," she began, her voice a whisper as she sought the right words. "I appreciate the compliment, but are you certain you wish to cast me in such a role? I am not accustomed to the company of gentlemen, nor the expectations that come with being a fiancé, even if it is merely for an evening." He regarded her intently, the corners of his lips curving slightly. "Your hesitation is natural, but I assure you, it is not merely a role I am asking you to play. It is an opportunity to break free from the confines of expectations, if only for a night. I need someone genuine, someone who will not merely perform as my betrothed, but embody what I wish to present to the world." Isadora took a breath, weighing the implications of his request. The prospect of stepping into a role that would allow her to experience the evening in a way she had only dreamed of was daunting yet exhilarating. "And what do you hope to gain from this charade, Your Grace?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. His expression shifted to one of seriousness, revealing the depth behind his charm. "I wish to show my mother that I am capable of choosing my own path. She believes I should marry into a family of wealth and influence. But I desire a union based on mutual respect and understanding, not mere alliances." As he spoke, Isadora felt a connection bloom, a shared understanding of grappling with familial expectations. "It seems we are both caught in the web of our family's desires," she replied softly, her heart warming to the Duke's plight. "Then I hope you will join me," he urged, his gaze intense. "Together, we may navigate this ball and emerge unscathed, at least for the time being." The thought of being an accomplice in his scheme thrilled her, yet the weight of the facade pressed down on her. Could she truly play the part of his fiancé? A wave of determination washed over her. "Very well, Your Grace. I shall assist you," she declared, her voice steadier now, but newfound confidence glimmering within her. "Splendid," he exclaimed, a smile breaking across his face. "Shall we?" As they rejoined the throng of guests, Isadora felt a rush of exhilaration. She stepped into the limelight beside the Duke, her heart pounding in rhythm with the lively music. As they moved through the crowd, she quickly realized the complexities of high society. The guests eyed them curiously, whispers swirling around her like the silk of her gown. "Who is that lovely young woman with the Duke?" a debutante murmured, her voice laced with envy. "Surely she can't be his fiancée. She's not from a prominent family," another chimed in, her tone dripping with disdain. Isadora's heart sank momentarily, but the Duke's presence beside her ignited her spirit. She had to embody the role he needed her to play. Drawing upon her inner strength, she raised her chin and met the gazes of the onlookers, forcing a polite smile. "Your Grace, I am afraid they will scrutinize every move we make," she said, glancing at him sideways. "Let them," he replied, his voice low and confident. "We will give them a show they won't soon forget." As the evening progressed, Isadora found herself adapting to her surroundings with surprising ease. She engaged in conversations with other guests, showcasing her clever wit and intelligence, which earned her nods of approval from those around her. She realized that while she may not possess the wealth and status of her peers, her charm and authenticity were in their own right compelling. However, amid the laughter and chatter, Isadora couldn't shake the mounting feelings for the Duke, which complicated the very facade she was meant to uphold. The more she observed him, the more she saw the man beneath the title. Someone who bore the weight of expectations with grace, yet yearned for authenticity. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the crowd, cutting through the enchanting atmosphere. Isadora recognized her, the Duchess of Ashford, the Duke's mother. The woman exuded an air of authority that silenced the room. The whispers ceased, and all eyes turned toward her as she approached her son, an imperious expression etched upon her face. "Wilfred," she began, her voice sharp as a blade, "why are you not mingling with the other eligible young ladies? You know your duty to the family." The Duke stiffened beside Isadora, and she felt a wave of tension ripple through him. "Mother, I prefer the company of my fiancée," he replied, gesturing toward her with an air of defiance. The Duchess's gaze flickered to Isadora, her eyes narrowing with skepticism. "Fiancé?" she echoed, disbelief coloring her tone. "What nonsense is this?" Isadora's heart raced as she met the Duchess's gaze, determination surging within her. The stakes had risen, and she could not falter now. "Your Grace," she interjected, her voice steady, "it is an honor to be considered for such a role." The Duchess scrutinized her, as if weighing her worth in the balance. Yet Isadora held her ground, refusing to be intimidated. "Very well," the Duchess finally said, her tone dismissive yet intrigued. "Let us see how long this charade lasts." As the Duchess turned away, Isadora felt a mixture of triumph and dread. She had taken her first step into the world of high society. But at what cost? The night was just beginning, and she knew the path ahead would only grow more intricate and challenging. "Are you ready for this?" the Duke murmured, his gaze searching hers. Isadora took a deep breath, her heart pounding. "I believe I am," she replied, conviction lining her words. "Let's proceed, Your Grace." As they resumed their dance through the crowd, Isadora couldn't shake the feeling that this masquerade would lead to unforeseen consequences, both for herself and for the Duke. But in that moment, amid the swirling gowns and flickering candlelight, she resolved to embrace the adventure ahead, no matter where it might lead. As the night wore on, the atmosphere of the grand ballroom enveloped Isadora like a warm embrace. The music swirled around her, punctuated by the laughter and chatter of the guests, yet her heart pounded in time with the rhythm of the waltz, as anticipation coursed through her veins. The Duke had swept her into a world of elegance and charm, but she felt an undercurrent of nervousness, a blend of excitement and trepidation. "May I have this dance, my lady?" he asked, extending his hand with a smile that ignited something profound within her. She hesitated for just a moment, glancing at the sea of faces around them, before placing her hand in his. The warmth of his grasp sent a jolt through her, and as they stepped onto the dance floor, the world beyond her faded away. They moved together effortlessly, the Duke leading with a confidence that made her heart flutter. As they twirled beneath the shimmering chandeliers, Isadora became acutely aware of the chemistry building between them. The music crescendoed, and she found herself lost in his gaze, the world around them dissolving into a blur of color and sound. "Isadora," he whispered, his voice low and intimate, "you are a marvel on the dance floor. It seems you were born for this." She felt warmth flood her cheeks, a smile breaking across her lips. "I must confess, Your Grace, I have never danced like this before. It feels as if the music has wrapped around me like a silken ribbon." "Then let us dance until the stars fade," he replied, his eyes sparkling with mischief. The playful banter flowed naturally between them, as if they had known each other far longer than a mere evening. As they glided across the polished floor, Isadora realized how liberating it felt to be in the moment, to let herself be swept away by the Duke's charm and charisma. Yet, beneath her exhilaration, a small voice whispered doubts. Was this merely an illusion, a fleeting moment in a world where reality often intruded? In the midst of their dance, the Duke leaned closer, his breath warm against her ear. "You know, Isadora, I once thought love was merely a transaction, a means to secure alliances and bolster family names. But now, I seek something deeper. I desire a love that holds meaning beyond the superficial." Her heart raced at his admission, and she couldn't help but wonder if he saw her as a means to achieve that very yearning. The fleeting thought both thrilled and frightened her. "And what if that love you seek is right in front of you?" she dared to ask, her voice barely above a whisper. He paused, their movements ceasing momentarily, as he regarded her with a newfound intensity. "You think I could find that with you?" "Why not?" she replied, emboldened by the moment. "We share this dance, this charade. Perhaps it could lead to something more genuine if we allow it." The Duke's eyes softened, and a flicker of vulnerability crossed his face. "You are unlike anyone I have ever met. In this world of pretense, you bring a refreshing honesty that is rare." The music shifted, and as they resumed dancing, the air around them thickened with unspoken emotions. Each twirl and glide brought them closer, the chemistry crackling like a summer storm. Isadora felt herself drawn to him, the connection deepening as they shared laughter and glances that lingered a moment too long. In a quieter moment, as they stepped aside to catch their breath, Isadora dared to venture further into the depths of his past. What was it like growing up as the Duke of Ashford? Did you ever feel the weight of expectations? His expression darkened slightly, shadows flitting across his features. "More than I can articulate. Every decision I made was scrutinized, every choice weighed against the desires of my family. I was raised to be a figurehead, a pawn in their games. It has taken years to reclaim my identity." Her heart ached for him, the burden of such expectations weighing heavily upon his shoulders. "But you are breaking free now," she encouraged gently. "This evening is a testament to your courage." He chuckled softly, the sound a mixture of amusement and sorrow. "Courage is a fickle thing. It often masquerades as bravado. Still, with you by my side, I feel emboldened to stand against those expectations, to carve my own path." "Then let us forge that path together, even if just for tonight," she suggested, a spark of hope igniting within her. As they resumed their dance, the warmth of his hand on her waist felt electric, and the world outside the ballroom faded into insignificance. She suddenly realized that the role she had agreed to play was transforming into something more profound. Their facade was becoming a bridge to potential realities, one that neither had anticipated. But just as the evening reached its pinnacle, the music softened and the spell began to break. Guests began to dance their way into their own lives, laughter and murmurs pushing back against their intimate bubble. With every passing moment, Isadora felt the weight of their charade pressing down on her, a cloak of uncertainty mingling with the burgeoning feeling she could no longer ignore. "Your Grace," she ventured, her heart pounding. What happens when the music stops? When the charade ends? His gaze bore into hers, a mixture of longing and trepidation reflected in his eyes. I do not know, Isadora, but perhaps in this moment we may find clarity, if only for a fleeting instant. As they danced on, both were left pondering the delicate balance between reality and pretense, the stakes steadily rising as their hearts dared to hope for more than mere pretense. Their journey was far from over. The night was still young, and the ball had only begun to reveal its secrets. If this story resonates with you, don't forget to share it with someone who appreciates tales of unexpected connections. Turn on notifications to stay updated on our journey through love and discovery. As the music swelled around them, Isadora and the Duke continued to dance, their movements speaking volumes of a burgeoning connection that crackled in the air. Yet the enchantment of the evening was abruptly disrupted when a loud voice cut through the melodic tones. Your Grace, there you are. Isadora's heart sank as she recognized the intruder, a tall, elegantly dressed woman with a striking presence, identified by whispers as Lady Beatrice. Her reputation for being particularly relentless in her pursuit of the Duke was well known among the guests. As she approached, the atmosphere shifted, the air growing thick with tension. Lady Beatrice, the Duke greeted her, his tone polite but cool, the warmth of their previous moment evaporating like mist under the morning sun. Isadora felt a pang of insecurity. She was acutely aware of the woman's intentions and the vulnerability of her own position. Have you forgotten our agreement to dance, Your Grace? Beatrice pressed, a coy smile playing on her lips. I would hate for you to abandon a lady so suddenly. For a fleeting moment, Isadora felt as though she were the outsider in a world of grand expectations and societal games. She exchanged glances with the Duke, who seemed caught between duty and the connection they were fostering. Forgive me, Beatrice, he replied, his voice steady. I am currently engaged. The words hung in the air, and Isadora's heart raced. The truth of their arrangement was now on the cusp of being exposed. She could feel the weight of eyes upon her, the whispers of the crowd, swirling like autumn leaves caught in a tempest. Engaged? Beatrice's laughter was sharp, cutting through the tension. To whom? Surely not this young lady. She gestured dismissively toward Isadora, her tone dripping with disdain. The Duke's jaw tightened, and his grip on Isadora's hand became more assertive. Indeed, she is my companion for the evening. I would appreciate it if you would allow us to continue our dance. Isadora felt an unexpected wave of gratitude for his defense against the social assault. But it was quickly overshadowed by a rising tide of embarrassment. What if the charade unraveled right here on the dance floor, in front of all those watching? Very well, Beatrice purred, her voice laced with mockery. But don't think I'll allow you to forget our previous engagements, Your Grace. With that, she sauntered away, casting a final glance over her shoulder that hinted at both challenge and threat. As the tension receded, Isadora found her breath returning, though it was laced with anxiety. Are you all right? The Duke asked softly, concern etched across his features. I am, she managed, though the uncertainty lingered in her voice. What do we do now? He studied her for a moment, his expression shifting from concern to determination. We must remain steadfast. Lady Beatrice is not the only rival for my attention tonight. His words ignited a flicker of anxiety in her chest. Rival? You mean there are others? Yes, he admitted, his eyes glimmering with a touch of mischief. It appears that the ball has attracted many hopeful suitors. But know this, I am not so easily swayed by the charms of others. Isadora's heart raced again, this time with a mix of hope and fear. Did he truly mean it, or was it merely a balm to soothe her worries? Your Grace? She started, but he silenced her with a gentle pressure of his fingers against her lips. Trust me, he urged, his voice low. Our bond is unique. Together we can navigate this maze of expectations. The sincerity in his eyes mirrored her own longing to trust him fully, yet doubt lingered like a shadow. Just as she began to find her resolve, a group of young gentlemen approached, each vying for the Duke's attention. "Your Grace," one exclaimed, bowing slightly, "might I have the honor of dancing with you?" The Duke's expression hardened momentarily, but he maintained a polite demeanor. "I am currently occupied, perhaps another time." With each request, Isadora felt the grip of insecurity tighten around her. The evening that had begun with promise now bore the weight of scrutiny and rivalry. "Isadora," the Duke said, leaning in closer, his breath warm against her ear. "I need you to be my shield tonight. When they come, let us present a united front." Her heart fluttered at his words, a mix of fear and exhilaration coursing through her. "How do we do that?" "By playing our parts convincingly," he replied, his gaze unwavering. "Show them that we are in this together." As they resumed their dance, Isadora felt a newfound determination blooming within her. She would not let fear dictate her actions. With the Duke by her side, she would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The music swelled again, and as they twirled across the floor, Isadora held on to his promise. Yet deep down, she wondered if their connection could withstand the mounting pressures of the evening, and if she could truly trust him with her heart. The moment was interrupted once more, this time by a sudden commotion at the edge of the ballroom, a commotion that drew the attention of all, including the Duke and Isadora. The tension in the room thickened, and with it, the stakes of their masquerade climbed even higher. As they turned to face the unfolding drama, Isadora's heart raced at the realization that their deception was about to be put to the ultimate test. What would happen next could alter the course of their fragile bond forever. Would they weather the storm together, or would the pressures of society tear them apart? Only time would reveal the truth hidden beneath the glimmering facade of the ball. As the final notes of the waltz echoed through the grand ballroom, Isadora felt the weight of the evening's tension hovering like a storm cloud overhead. She stood beside the Duke, acutely aware that the earlier moment of connection had been fractured by Lady Beatrice's unwelcome intrusion. The whispers of the crowd now buzzed with a blend of curiosity and judgment, and Isadora's heart raced with uncertainty. "Your Grace, I fear we may have to retreat from this chaos," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The Duke's expression shifted, revealing a flicker of determination. "I cannot allow her to dictate the evening. It is time I confront my family about their expectations." His gaze turned serious, the weight of his title pressing down on him. "They have been pressing me for an announcement regarding my future, and I can no longer ignore their demands." Isadora's eyes widened. "You mean an arranged marriage?" The very thought sent a shiver through her spine. She had come to value their connection, yet the prospect of competing against a predetermined fate sent her thoughts spiraling into doubt. "Yes, but I refuse to marry someone I do not love." His voice was firm, yet a hint of uncertainty lingered. "They wish for me to align myself with Lady Beatrice, but I desire something more genuine." "Genuine?" Isadora echoed, her heart pounding. "And what if your family does not approve of our arrangement?" The Duke took a step closer, his presence overwhelming. "Then we must make them see our connection is worth fighting for." The intensity in his gaze ignited a flicker of hope within her, yet the shadows of doubt lingered. "Your Grace, she hesitated, unsure of how to articulate her fear and longing. "What if this is all just a game to distract you?" "Isadora," he interrupted softly, placing a hand gently over hers. "You are not a distraction. You are the only one who sees me for who I truly am." The sincerity in his voice sent warmth flooding through her, yet a nagging doubt persisted. Could their connection withstand the scrutiny of society? Just as these thoughts swirled in her mind, a familiar voice broke through the intensity of the moment. "Your Grace, a gentleman interjected, bowing slightly as he approached. Isidora recognized him as Lord Harrington, another suitor to the Duke. "Might I steal you away for a moment?" The Duke's jaw tightened, but he maintained a polite facade. "I am currently occupied." "Surely you can spare a moment for an old friend," Lord Harrington pressed, a smirk playing at the corners of his lips. "I believe the lady and I are in the midst of an important discussion," the Duke replied, his tone firm. Isidora could feel the tension in the air, every eye in the ballroom now drawn to them. "Is that so?" Harrington's tone dripped with sarcasm. "I had no idea that a mere companion could keep your attention so thoroughly." Isidora felt the heat rise in her cheeks as all eyes turned toward her. The weight of their gazes felt like an anchor dragging her down. "I am not merely a companion," she declared, finding her voice amidst the chaos. "I have been honored to share this evening with His Grace." The Duke's eyes sparkled with surprise and admiration, and for a brief moment, the world around them faded. Now, Harrington chuckled, dismissing her words with a wave of his hand. "It's quite charming, really. But you must understand that a duke is expected to align himself with someone of noble blood. You are—" "Enough," the Duke interjected, his voice low and commanding. "You do not know her as I do. Isidora is neither mere nor charming. She is extraordinary." The ballroom fell into a hushed silence, the tension thickening like fog. Isidora's heart raced at his declaration, but doubt flickered at the edges of her mind. "Extraordinary?" Harrington scoffed. "Perhaps the lady would prefer to join me for a dance. Surely it would be more fitting for her station." Before Isidora could respond, the Duke stepped closer to her. His eyes locked onto hers, a silent promise passing between them. "Do not entertain such nonsense," he urged softly. "You belong here, beside me." The intensity of his gaze made her heart flutter, yet the reality of their situation loomed larger than her feelings. "What if your family finds out?" she whispered, the vulnerability in her voice betraying her composure. "They will understand," he said firmly, his hand still holding hers, grounding her. "I will make them see that our bond is not a choice but a necessity." Just then, a figure emerged from the shadows, the air shifting with an electric charge. It was the Duchess, the Duke's mother, her presence commanding attention without uttering a word. "Edward," she said, her voice smooth yet piercing, "we need to have a discussion about your future." Isidora's breath hitched, fear seizing her heart. The Duke's expression hardened, his earlier resolve flickering. "Mother, he began, but the Duchess interrupted, her gaze shifting toward Isidora. "And who is this?" "Isidora Pelham," she introduced herself, steeling her spine. "Your Grace." "Ah, the companion," the Duchess replied, her tone cool and dismissive. "Edward, we need to speak privately." The weight of her words hung heavy in the air, and Isidora felt the world shift beneath her. This confrontation would challenge everything they had built, and she realized that time had come to confront her own heart. As the Duke glanced at her, a silent question passing between them, Isidora understood that the choices made now could alter the course of their lives forever. With the eyes of the ballroom upon them and the future uncertain, Isidora steadied herself, ready to make a decision that would define her relationship with the Duke and her own destiny. The moment of truth had arrived, and she could no longer stand on the sidelines. As the tension thickened in the air, the ballroom felt as if it was holding its breath. Isidora's heart pounded furiously against her ribcage, a testament to both fear and fierce determination. The Duke's unwavering gaze steadied her resolve, igniting a flicker of courage deep within. She had been a participant in this masquerade of expectations for too long, and tonight, she would no longer play the role of a mere accessory to someone else's design. "Your Grace," she began, steeling herself against the pressure of the onlookers. "If you are truly willing to confront your family, then I must ask, what of my own heart? What of the truth that binds us?" Her voice, once a mere whisper, now rang with clarity, echoing her deepest fears and desires. The Duke's brow furrowed, and for a moment, their world narrowed down to just the two of them, disconnected from the swirling gossip and judgment of the ballroom. "Isadora, I cannot promise that they will understand," he admitted, the weight of his title evident in his voice. "But I can promise you this. My feelings for you are real. They are worth the fight." A shiver of hope coursed through her as she processed his words. "You would stand against your family for me?" The question clung to her lips, both a challenge and an invitation for deeper honesty. "Yes," he answered without hesitation, "and I will make them see that love cannot be dictated by lineage or expectation." His conviction washed over her, igniting a warmth that had been absent amidst the evening's chaos. But doubt crept back in, whispering insidious thoughts. "Yet, what if I am merely a fleeting fancy? What if you awaken one day, and I am but a distant memory to you?" The vulnerability in her voice surprised even herself, revealing the raw edges of her heart. "Isadora," he said softly, the intimacy of her name drawing her closer to him. "You are far from a passing whim. You have shown me parts of myself that I thought were lost to the obligations of my title. I need you to believe that." Before she could respond, a ripple of commotion surged through the crowd. Lady Beatrice, sensing the shift in the atmosphere, stepped forward, her eyes narrowed with disdain. "Your Grace," she said sweetly, yet her words dripped with malice. "Must you linger with the lady, while so many eligible suitors await your attention? Surely, even a duke must know the value of propriety." The duke's jaw tightened, and Isadora felt a rush of protective anger on his behalf. "Lady Beatrice, I am quite aware of my obligations," he replied, his tone icy. "What I choose to do with my time, and with whom, is not subject to your judgment." The ballroom, once alive with music and laughter, fell into a tense silence, all eyes now fixed on them. Isadora seized the moment, stepping forward. "Your Grace," she declared, her voice steady, "I refuse to be reduced to a mere pawn in this game. If you wish to fight for our love, then let us declare it openly. Let us face whatever consequences together." A murmur swept through the crowd, a mixture of intrigue and shock at her boldness. The Duke's eyes widened, admiration shining through the tension. "You would stand beside me, despite the storm that may come?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Absolutely," she affirmed, her heart racing with the thrill of her declaration. "If we are to face the world, let it be as partners, not as hidden shadows." At that moment, a collective gasp escaped the crowd, the weight of their words hanging heavy in the air. Was this bold declaration of love enough to withstand the scrutiny of society? Or would it only serve to deepen the divide between them and the expectations that loomed like a dark cloud? "I will speak to my family," he promised, gripping her hand tightly. "I will not allow them to dictate my happiness any longer." The warmth of his touch ignited a rush of hope within Isadora, but uncertainty lingered in the corners of her mind. "And what if they refuse to accept us?" she questioned, her vulnerability surfacing once more. He paused, searching her eyes for understanding. "If they cannot see the truth of our bond, then we will find our own way. Love is meant to be fought for, not surrendered." With those words, he sealed their pact, an unspoken agreement to navigate the treacherous waters of societal expectations together. Isadora's heart soared with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. The path ahead was uncertain, but she felt emboldened by their connection. The evening's chaos faded into the background, replaced by a singular focus on the man before her and the promise of what could be. As the music began again, filling the air with a gentle melody, she dared to dream of a future unbound by tradition. In that moment, she took a step forward, entwining her fingers with his. Together, they could face whatever awaited them. "Let us make our own announcement," she suggested, a teasing smile breaking through her earlier tension. "Together, we can redefine what it means to belong." The Duke chuckled, a sound filled with warmth and affection. "Then let us begin, my spirited Isadora. Together, we shall show them the power of love." Their hands linked, they turned to the crowd, ready to unveil the truth that had blossomed between them, a truth forged in vulnerability, courage, and the promise of a shared future. In the heart of the ballroom, amidst the swirl of finery and societal expectations, they stood united, ready to claim their love and face the world together, once and for all. As the final notes of the evening symphony played, Isadora felt a profound sense of peace. No matter what challenges lay ahead, she had found her voice, and more importantly, she had found her heart, forever entwined with that of the Duke. This was only the beginning. As the Duke's words hung in the air, a profound silence enveloped the ballroom, punctuated only by the soft rustle of gowns and the faint crackle of anticipation. Isadora felt the weight of 1,000 gazes upon her, but she stood firm, her heart racing as she searched the Duke's eyes for reassurance. "And what if they refuse to accept us?" she pressed, her voice steady, yet laced with vulnerability. He squeezed her hand tighter, a silent promise etched in his grip. "Then we will face that together. I will not let their disapproval dictate our happiness. You are worth every battle, Isadora." The sincerity in his tone ignited a fire within her, and she realized that this was not merely a declaration of love, but a commitment to a shared future. In that moment, the world around them faded into a blur. The music that had once seemed a distant echo now pulsed with a vibrant energy, mirroring the newfound resolve blossoming in her heart. "Then let us declare it openly," she declared, her voice ringing with clarity. "Let us not hide in the shadows of societal expectations any longer." The Duke's face broke into a smile, a mix of admiration and pride shining through. "You are truly remarkable," he said, his eyes sparkling. "Together, we will show them that love is not a mere transaction, but a profound connection that transcends titles and lineage." With those words, Isadora felt the barriers of doubt begin to crumble. She was not just a fleeting fancy, nor a mere pawn in a grand game. She was a partner, an equal, and their love was a force that could challenge the very foundations of their world. As the couple turned to face the crowd, whispers transformed into murmurs of disbelief and intrigue. Lady Beatrice, ever the harbinger of societal norms, stepped forward once more, her expression a mix of outrage and disbelief. "Your Grace, how could you disgrace your family in such a manner? Do you truly believe this charade will hold?" Isadora's heart quickened, but the Duke remained unfazed. "This is no charade, Lady Beatrice. This is love, and I refuse to apologize for it." The firmness in his voice silenced any further protests, leaving the room in an electrifying stillness. The murmurs began to shift, a ripple of support coursing through the crowd as some guests began to nod in agreement. "Love is the most powerful force," one gentleman called out, his voice clear and resolute. "It is time we recognize that true happiness cannot be dictated by societal constraints." Encouraged by this unexpected support, Isadora felt a sense of empowerment wash over her. She turned to the Duke, her eyes shining with determination. "Let us not only declare our love, but also challenge the very norms that bind us. We will show them that love can flourish in the face of adversity." With renewed purpose, the Duke took a step forward, drawing Isadora beside him as they faced the assembled guests. "Invite you to witness our commitment to one another, to love that defies expectation," he proclaimed, his voice ringing with conviction. "We shall not be confined by the roles assigned to us. Together, we will forge our own path." The crowd was captivated, and for the first time, Isadora felt a sense of belonging. The whispers of discontent began to fade, replaced by a burgeoning atmosphere of acceptance and understanding. She looked around, seeing familiar faces nodding in approval, and a wave of gratitude surged through her heart. As the evening unfolded, the couple danced, their movements fluid and effortless, embodying the love that had blossomed amidst adversity. With each twirl and turn, they shared soft laughter and intimate glances, the world around them melting away as they reveled in their newfound freedom. In that moment, Isadora realized that their love had the power to change not only their lives, but also the perceptions of those around them. They were no longer merely participants in a societal dance. They were the architects of their destiny. As the final notes of the evening's music played, the Duke drew Isadora close, his breath warm against her ear. "This is only the beginning, my love. Together, we will navigate whatever challenges lie ahead." Isadora felt a swell of emotion, her heart filled with hope and excitement for the future. "I believe in us," she whispered, her gaze steady. "Together we will create a life built on love, trust, and mutual respect." With a final embrace, they stepped into the night, hand in hand, ready to face the world as partners. The moon cast a silvery glow upon them, illuminating the path ahead, a symbol of the love that would guide their journey. And as they walked away from the ballroom, Isadora knew that they had not only claimed their love, but had also carved a space for others to follow. Their story was one of courage, transformation, and the unwavering belief that love in its purest form could indeed conquer all. In the heart of London, beneath the stars, a new chapter awaited them, one where love reigns supreme, unbound by societal chains, and filled with endless possibilities.